everyone, I'm meteorologist Joe Murgo. Another edition of That's Cool, and this one came from a trip that I was making with my wife and some friends across Route 6. We started off at the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. We're heading toward the Kinzig Bridge in Mount Jewett, or near Mount Jewett, and I will tell you the fall foliage was great. That's why we went. But then, as we were passing by Port Allegheny, in between Coudersport and Smethport, interesting fact, Smethport has the lowest temperature ever recorded in the state of Pennsylvania officially, minus 42 degrees. But anyway, I was looking forward to seeing that, but we went through the town of Port Allegheny, right near the Allegheny River, and we passed this building. And I'm like, and it caught me at the corner of the eye, and I'm like, wait a second, that looks just like falling water. It had the same kind of architecture. And so I was interested, and I started to look it up, and yes, it is Lynn Hall, and the story behind it is it's the house that actually inspired falling water. Yeah, what it was is there was a man, it was the Hall family, and his family settled in that region for the timber, opened a lumber yard, and then Walter and his brother started to become house builders. And Walter's son was an architect, and this ended up being a very interesting house. So let me go ahead and call it up. It had, for the time, these unique flat roofs, a lot of eaves sticking out, and it looks a lot like Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. And I thought, and I did some research on it, and very interestingly, it was some of the inspiration for Frank Lloyd Wright's work. So what happened again is Walter's family settled into the region, and he and his brother Howard grew up in a family business and then decided they were going to become home builders. They built about 40 homes in the Port Allegheny area, and then when Wright started to design Falling Water, and he was making it for Edgar Kaufman of Pittsburgh, you know, Kaufman department store, and Wright was making this modern-looking building in the 1930s. Well, Kaufman's son was traveling on Route 6 in northern Pennsylvania, saw this, and he told Wright, and then Wright found Walter Hall and hired him as the main builder. So the building you're seeing here, and it's right along the Roosevelt Highway, and it was built in 1936. And when Hall was hired by Lloyd Wright, he took some of his ideas and put it to Falling Water. And that's where it all came from. So this is actually the house that inspired Falling Water. It has a lot of similarities, and if you want to take a tour, you have to, this was before COVID, you may be able to take a tour of this archaeological treasure, and it's being remodeled. It was bought out. It was falling to ruin after Hall's death, and then Gary and Sue DeVore bought the building, started a renovation project, and now there's other owners involved, and they brought in students from Cornell. But you could take a tour of it. Now you're going to have to check because of COVID, and the information is on this website. Visit anf.com, and I'll have a link in our story, or there's the information on the page right there. And they're really, really modernizing it. Take a look at some of the interior of what they're doing. It's really an interesting story, something I wasn't expecting as I was traveling along Route 6, and I thought to myself, hey, that's cool. And if you run into something that's cool, email me at murgo@wtajtv.com. Let's share some of the interesting stories and things we see across our great state and across the entire world. I've done some worldwide things too. All right, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you next edition.